We're taking the tub off this Mark 6 Toyota Hilux 2008 model. The rear lights are held on with two 10mm headed screws, just hidden by the tailgate when it's closed. On the outside of the light clusters there are two push-fit studs which go into plastic sockets in the trim. The terminal block for the rear lights is held onto the rear light cluster and can be released by pushing a suitable implement down that slot to release it. It simply lifts that latch there. And to separate the terminal block there is a thumb button on the inboard portion which is pressed and allows you to separate the plug from the socket. And one of the difficulties is undoing the flexible cable, the Bowden cable, to the filler cap. Apparently it can be done from underneath, but it's really awkward getting your arm up there in all the mud, and you do have to move this plastic inner wheel arch. So we're going to drill these 4 pop rivets out and see what happens, because they will be easy to replace. So the pop rivets are out and we can indeed get this piece of plastic off and remove the cable. It is actually a simple bayonet fitting and pulls out like that. So it does appear that you would be able to undo the bayonet from above, but actually that piece, even though it's got finger lugs on it, only turns a few degrees, so you can't. It has to be turned from behind. So this is the way forward. Take the plastic trim off, drill those pop rivets out. This cable is also fitted to the underside of the tub with a plastic clip, and the easiest way to deal with that plastic clip is to clip it off and replace it later. And that clip is most easily dealt with when the body is lifted a few inches, or about a foot in this case. We've suspended the tub from the load eyes in each corner onto the block and tackle, and we've managed to lift the thing about 18 inches, so we should now be able to drive the truck out from under it. So here we are. The body is held on with 6 17mm bolts screwed from underneath. Now you do of course have to be aware that you need to undo the wiring to the tow bar if it's so wired. In this case it wasn't. Our wire just runs along the chassis, so we were lucky. And undo these 2 clips which go up into the tailgate. And there it is, dangling. Now the reason we chose to take our body off was because we were aware that there was some rot in this fuel tank cross member, a place where the Hiluxes are known to go, and it is going to be easier to repair that with the tub off. But we also wanted to find out where this little fuel leak was coming from, and I think we found that out. The tub was held onto the chassis with 6 M12 by 1.25, that's metric fine, bolts. There were 2 long ones in the middle and 4 short ones at the ends. We're replacing them with ordinary bolts, which I'm going to put a little pilot on the end of. Now, if you don't have a tap of the appropriate size, the good way of cleaning the threads out is with a slot in an old bolt. It does a very good job. And even if you do have a tap, these rusty old threads are very hard on taps, so it's a good way of cleaning threads without damaging a tap. The two longer screws which go in the centre of the tub, that is on this vehicle, which is a 1.5 cab, are fitted with rubber cushions. Why that should be I don't know, probably because the chassis flexes a bit. Now I've put a pilot on these with my lathe. You could do it with a grinder or a file or however, but do put a nut on first, because when you take the nut off it cleans that burr up, which makes the bolt far more easy to use, even if you drop it on the floor. Now I have made the threaded part of my new bolts somewhat shorter than the originals, because the protruding bit of thread goes rusty and is then difficult to unscrew, and I might just want to take this tub off again. New washers, and also we're going to put a little bit of low strength thread locker on these things, because as you can see Toyota had done so and they know best. It not only stops the threads coming undone, it also protects them and stops them going rusty. Taking the tub off isn't a particularly difficult job, so if you're going to replace this filler neck, I would take the tub off, because it is a really good opportunity to clean the whole chassis and inspect it, and you find several things that were wrong that you didn't actually know were wrong. You just have to hold the end of the filler neck and guide it into place, and you gently lower the body onto the chassis. Then we replace the filler cover, having first put the bayonet fitting for the release cable on and feed it over the petrol filler neck. And pop rivet the cover back on.